Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today's topic comes from the subreddit childfree, posted by user now deleted. The post was originally a linked post that's now deleted. The title reads, 1 in 5 adults don't want children, and they're deciding early in life, new study shows. I believe I found the article in a neuroscience website. But first, let's look through some of the comments here on Reddit. User mindless-prize 9072 said, "Good, now make it 2 and 5 by 2026, Santa. Thank you." User Zanza NG wrote, "Oh yes, I knew from my earliest memories. I said, quote, I don't want to be a mommy, end quote, as a literal toddler. I would not play the mother with friends and would not even look at a baby doll. My sister loved that, lol. She instantly got to keep any dolls people gifted me. That has not wavered for a single instant in 46 years. I had a single child-free aunt that I always admired. I said I want to be just like her when I grow up. Mission accomplished." User Foxy8787 responded saying, "I never had dolls, only stuffed animals. Whenever I played house, I always chose to be the family cat. I think it's clear what path I'm taking in life, lol." User Fox or Hedgehog responded saying, "Same here. I'm 63 and still have numerous stuffed animals, some of which are almost as old as I am." Another user commented in this thread saying, user I'm really not that cool, who wrote, "I have 2 child-free aunts and they both have amazing lives. One has 2 properties with more than 30 acres each and trail access for her horses. The other has a huge house with California king-size beds in all 3 guest rooms so that she can entertain and not have her guests drive home after drinking. I may not want either of those things, but they are both doing what they love and I strive to do the same." 100%. Go for it. That's one of the amazing things about being child-free. You can choose what direction you want your life to go in. And as our life continues to get feudalized by the billionaires and the pedophile billionaires that the governments around the world, especially here in the United States, seem to support, it's going to be, things especially are going to be a lot worse before they get any better. And it's much better to be child-free. Also, think about it from this perspective. If you want to have the money, the income to help your family out, it is far, far better to remain child-free. Unless, of course, your family is awful, in which case, do your best to separate, go no contact, and find family of your own. Another user, now deleted, commented, "Yep, I knew early on that I wasn't that interested in becoming a parent. I grew up in a, quote, traditional, unquote, household, where dad worked and we barely saw him, and mom was home all the time and miserable. Seemed like an awful setup that I didn't intend to repeat." That's another thing I didn't bring up yet. Breaking family trauma, breaking the cycle, that is huge. Children are indeed a blessing, and it's a blessing only the few, the proud, the ones who actually want children and honor them as the individual souls that they are. Those are the people that should have children. Having children, let alone getting into a relationship and maybe getting married, that is not for everyone. And the fact that we have progressed to the point where we can recognize that's not for everyone, that is the best. We can truly honor people as the individuals that they are and their individual goals that they want to achieve that way. As for time frame, we have a couple users who commented, starting with Fine Mind, who wrote, "Me at 14. User Sour Milk C has 3 A's, responded saying, "Same here. My mind hasn't changed at all 10 years later." User Lost Kid 852 also commented saying, "Me at 12, protecting my peace and freedom on my free time while traveling and playing video games." cool shades, emoji face. And another user who wrote, me at 7, user pepcorn. Moving on to the article from neurosciencenews.com. From neurosciencenews.com, we read, titled, 1 in 5 adults don't want children and they're deciding early in life. Posted originally July 31st, 2022. The tags are purple for featured, blue for neuroscience, and orange for psychology. Below that, we read, summary. Researchers say over 20% of adults do not want children and intend to remain child-free. Most adults say they decided in their teens or early 20s to remain childless. Source: University of Michigan. The U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade paved the way for limits on abortion, but also created uncertainty around the future of birth control. This could have far-reaching implications for many people, as a research team from Michigan State University found over 1 in 5 Michigan adults do not want children. Quote, we've found that 21.6% of adults, or about 1.7 million people in Michigan, do not want children and therefore are, quote, child-free, end quote. That's more than the population of Michigan's 9 largest cities, end quote, said Zachary Neal, associate professor in MSU's psychology department and co-author of the study. The study, published in Scientific Reports, used a set of 3 questions to identify child-free individuals separately from parents and other types of non-parents. The researchers used data from a representative sample of 1,500 adults who completed MSU's State of the State survey, conducted by the university's Institute for Public Policy and Social Research. Because different types of non-parents are impossible to distinguish in official statistics, Neal explained that this study is one of the first to specifically count child-free adults. Quote, people, especially women, who say they don't want children are often told they'll change their mind, but the study found otherwise, unquote, said Jennifer Watling Neal, associate professor in the psychology department at MSU and co-author of the study. Below that, we see an image of an interracial couple smiling happily, snuggling together outside of a stone wall with multiple points of graffiti on it. Underneath the image, it says, because so many people are child-free, the researchers said this group warrants more attention. Image is in the public domain. Continuing on, quote, people are making the decision to be child-free early in life, most often in their teens and 20s. And it's not just young people claiming they don't want children. Women who decided in their teens to be child-free are now, on average, nearly 40 and still do not have children, end quote. The study was conducted in Michigan, but according to the 2021 census, Michigan is demographically similar to the United States as a whole. Because of this, Neal said, if the pattern holds up nationally, it would mean 50 to 60 million Americans are child-free. Quote, following the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, a large number of Americans are now at risk of being forced to have children despite not wanting them, end quote, said Watling Neal. If further precedents are overturned and birth control becomes harder to access, many young women who have decided to be child-free may also have difficulty avoiding pregnancy. Because so many people are child-free, the researchers said this group warrants more attention. They hope future work will expand beyond Michigan and will help the public understand why people decide to be child-free and the consequences they experience from that decision. About this psychology and fertility research news, author Kaylee Crow, source University of Michigan, contact Kaylee Crow, University of Michigan. Original research, open access, quote, prevalence, age of decision, and interpersonal warmth judgments of child-free adults, end quote, by Zachary Neal et al., Scientific Reports. Below that, we read the abstract from that journal article. Prevalence, age of decision, and interpersonal warmth judgments of child-free adults. Child-free adults do not want to have children. making them distinct from parents and other adults without children. However, they are difficult to study because they cannot be identified using conventional data on fertility. We use data from a representative sample in the United States to examine the prevalence, age of decision, and interpersonal warmth judgments by and about child-free adults. Our prevalence estimates suggest that child-free adults are quite common, comprising over 1/5 (21.64%) in parentheses, of the population. Our analysis of age to decision suggests that most child-free adults reported that they decided they did not want children early in life. Continuing on. Finally, our analysis of interpersonal warmth suggests asymmetric affective polarization among parents and child-free adults, driven primarily by parents in-group favoritism. We discuss the implications of these findings for our understanding of child-free adults and for future research on this historically overlooked segment of the population. Here ends the abstract. I do recommend clicking on the link and going to the original research. Preview given here. And especially considering it's open access, consider downloading a copy of the PDF for yourself for reading later on. Thank you for watching/listening, and I will see you in the next video.